You're coming in at a good time because I'm sure you know, as someone has done his due diligence, that in the past 10 years, it's been an aging facility.
Right.
A lot of the good stuff was still going on in there, and there's major renovation and upgrade that's coming.
Right.
And in conjunction with that, Frank, and doing a lot of the reading that I did on the UConn Health Center, as you say, which has got the dental school, the medical school, Dempsey Hospital, and all the attendant people that go along with it, it seemed to me when I did some further reading that what it is that is happening there, I don't know whether this is directly analogous or not, is like our own little research triangle up here.
That's right.
Because what we have is the UConn Health Center, and what has also happened most recently, and the governor has been certainly a leader in the area, but there's been the UConn Health Center, there's been Hartford Hospital Corporation, and that is the Bioscience Connecticut program, and what's happened with Jackson Corporation. So give us a few minutes on what's going on there.
Yeah, it's absolutely transformational. And what has happened, and really, you know, you just have to credit the governor for his vision and insight here, is he's asked the question, how can Connecticut move ahead and step ahead of other states in terms of great jobs, great technology, and great sort of care to the citizens of Connecticut, healthcare to the citizens of Connecticut. How do you do that? Well, you have to make investments to do that. So part of the investment, of course, is infrastructure, and you've alluded to the building, the new hospital, the new outpatient facility, the renovation of the laboratory space, the new incubators that'll take the basic science discovery, move that into small businesses that will eventually become large businesses, which will amplify the effort. So the plan has multi-facets to it, but it begins with construction jobs, of course, which are immediate and right away. And if you head past the health center, you'll see the dust and the, fantastic. But beyond the construction, that's only a small part of it, is the concept. And that gets back to what you said, which is this really once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to build this corridor of excellence in information, in technology and in biotechnology that really spans throughout the state. Involves not only the health center, this is really the visionary part, but all of the hospitals in central Connecticut, Yale, and we want to build this corridor of technology, the Storrs campus of the health center as well, bringing this all together so that we can be more than competitive in attracting new businesses in the technology area, which are good jobs, to the state of Connecticut, and creating better health care through innovation for the people of Connecticut.
You know, it's interesting to listen to you talk, Frank, because in the wonderful world of business, right? I mean, I hear that word transformational, and we'll get back to that.
Right.
But in the business world, we almost use another euphemism for it. And listening to you describe what's going on there, we call it a leapfrogging exercise. And you ask yourself, I have my competitor over here, and I don't want to just merely compete with this person. I want to leapfrog this person and get ahead. And you're making it sound very much like this is what is the manifestation of that vision. We're going to go from here, not to there, but from here over to the other side.
Absolutely, and this is part of the strategy. And you mentioned the Jackson Labs, for example. And think of the implications of that.
There's a company that came from Maine.
That's right. That's right. And they're bringing their personalized medicine initiative here onto the UConn Health Center campus to interact with us, the faculty at Storrs, the faculty at the Hartford Hospital, and other hospitals.
Did St. Francis. Yale's involved?
Yale is involved as well.
Because they're a member of the corridor, Frank, or you have some sort of
in many connections.
Oh, you do?
In many connections. But the plan overall is exactly that. It's the idea of taking this genomics initiative in the case of the Jackson Labs, working together with other folks in the state to leapfrog in terms of technology, and therefore bring the new assets into the state of Connecticut. Now, you know what's happened over the years, and a number of companies in the biotechnology space have left Connecticut. So what this initiative does is say, let's put an end to that but also let's advantage the state by creating an environment where small companies, which can be built into big companies, can actually thrive here and take those steps, that we will facilitate those steps.
Right. So you came from Wake Forest.
That's right.
To Connecticut.
Right.
Without getting into the privacy of the interview, Frank,
Sure.
right? If I were Governor Malloy and I was interviewing you, or Susan Earps,
and he did,
and he did, and they
right,
both did,
right,
I'm
right,
sure they did.
yeah.
I mean, this is a major, you represent part of the partnership and relationship that's going to have to make this thing happen.
Right.
So it's not like you get a lot of second chances, right?
Right.
So what were the one or two things that they said to you, none of the personal stuff that happens in an interview, that you listened to what they had to say and you said, you know what, Frank, this sounds good to me. This is the kind of thing that I want to be involved in.
Yeah. Well, Jim, you know, in some ways it always is personal. And so it always begins with, you know, a sense, you know, look at Susan Earps, and a feeling that I could work with her and we could work together.
The chemistry
the
part
chemistry, right. The same with the governor, really. That, you know, I believed what he said, I believed what he wanted to do for Connecticut, and that the health center would be a part of that. And he was firmly committed to it, not only to the buildings, but to the recruitment of faculty and staff to make those buildings churn in the way that he wanted them to. So you know, those were the kind of words, the idea that there would be an infrastructure, because you can't have great sort of science without an infrastructure, but that infrastructure would not only be buildings, it would be people who could actually sort of crystallize, you know, these areas that will grow and develop. Then you put on top of that, you know, the recent development when I was being recruited to bringing the Jackson Labs here, which gives us a chance.
That happened while your interviewing was going on?
That's right,
Oh,
that's right.
okay.
So,
Well,
you know, and the added fact that Ed Lieu and I trained together at Stanford many years ago. Right, right.
Oh, is that right?
So, you know, the chemistry and
Sure,
it is a small
there.
world. So it's always people. It's always, you know, your conviction about people, and that we're all heading together down the same path.
Yeah, I guess the one personal question that I would ask you about the whole bringing together of you into the state is that, as someone who's been involved in that kind of thing myself, in terms of being recruited, if I had to pick one word that I always look for in the interview, it's my feeling, either directly or indirectly expressed by the other party, of the commitment that they have to this vision that they have, that it's actually going to happen. And I'm not talking out of school, Frank, to say that it's no secret that, I mean, Connecticut has got some major pluses. The logistics of its location,
Absolutely.
its skilled labor force, its professional labor. I mean, there's a lot of pluses here, but Connecticut has had some financial struggles.
Right.
And I would imagine you came away from that thing saying to yourself, the commitment that they're making is, you're talking billions of bucks here.
Right, right.
That you saw in this, that this is not a one-year thing.
Right.
We're talking
Right.
a decade probably.
Right.
Frank,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
And you looked at that thing and you said, the kind of commitment that I'm hearing here is, this is not going to be stop and go. Once we start, we're going.
Right, right. And, you know, Jim, it's because it's the governor's vision, it's Susan's vision, and it's my vision. So when you have that sort of sense of joint vision and purpose, you can believe in the future and you can see your way to the future.
Yeah.
So I feel very good about that,
Good.
actually. Yeah,
Good.
yeah,
I'm really very happy to hear that.
But, you know, I want to mention something else.
Yeah, go
because,
right ahead.
you know, you touch on something that actually struck a chord, and that is, you know, the wealth and the attractiveness of the state, which I agree. And it is also this state, you know, it has the richest and the poorest people in the state, and it's remarkable. And part of Bioscience Connecticut, and part of my commitment to in coming to UConn, is to help close that gap.